This January, Fox once again brings you the greatest week in college football. It all begins with the FedEx Orange Bowl, the All-State Sugar Bowl, the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl, and the FedEx BCS National Championship game. It's college football's biggest games this January, only on Fox. And as we welcome in our college football analyst, Barry Switzer, to break down the brand new BCS standings. Barry, I'm sure you are excited to find out who is in the top 5. So wait no more. Let's begin it at number 5, and moving up 3 notches in our standings, the Florida Gators, after that big blowout victory over the Georgia Bulldogs 49-10. The Gators are number 5. The Texas Longhorns were number 1 last week. That loss to Texas Tech dropped them down 3 spots. The Horns are now number 4. They face Baylor coming up next. Holding on to the number 3 spot, Joe Pa and the Penn State Nittany Lions. They are perfect 9-0. They had a bye last week, but they've got Iowa in a Big Ten matchup next week. Number 2, the Red Raiders of Texas Tech. They move up 5 spots following that fantastic victory over the Texas Longhorns. 39-33 was the final, and it went down to the final second, which means the new number 1 team in the land, the Alabama Crimson Tide. Yes, Nick Saban and company shut out Arkansas State 35-0, and they've got a big one at LSU coming up next week, but they will do it as the number 1 team in the country. Looking at the rest of the top 10, it's Oklahoma and Southern Cal, both dropping down a couple of spots. Utah moves up from 10 to 8. Oklahoma State at 9, and Boise State rounds out our top 10. And let's get right to it, Barry, beginning at that list there. When you look at the way things move, Penn State held on to that number 3 spot. But if you look at some of the teams even below them right now, do you think they're the 3rd best team in the country? Would they beat some of those teams?
Well, I think America expected maybe Penn State to move to number 2. Not Texas Tech jump all the way from 7th to the 2nd in the country, but that was a strong win against Texas. I think there's 4 or 5 teams in there probably better than Penn State. I really do. I think there's 4 or 5 quarterbacks better than who they've got. There's 4 teams in the top 9 from the Big 12 South. So give Texas Tech a little more credit on defense than I thought.
I'm surprised Penn State's holding tight, but I think one of the reasons the Big Ten is so bad this year.
Right.
That's one of the things that's hurting. And you're seeing Texas Tech make the jump like they made. I'm surprised Alabama. I'm surprised they didn't go all the way to number 1. Alabama scooted up there.
We expected Alabama to be number 1, but Penn State may be number 2 because they're undefeated. I think they're going to be the only undefeated football team. I really do. When it's all over Penn State, right. I think the competition, they don't have a playoff game. I think Alabama's got a tough one this week. They got to go to Baton Rouge.
LSU.
They go Tiger bait. And I promise you, then they got Florida, and Florida's playing probably the best they have played since last year. Or a couple of years ago.
Well, Alabama going to LSU, Saban's first visit back since leaving there, going to the Dolphins, and they are not real happy about that, him leaving them down there. And LSU, maybe not as good with that freshman quarterback, but they'll have a hard time beating LSU down in Baton Rouge.
Hey, who else is frustrated? Sorry, Jimmy, jump in front of you right here, but I'm going to say I don't very get very little time on this show. Go ahead. I want to tell you. Bob Stoops and the Sooners ought to be upset. They scored 62 points, and they dropped 2 places here.
Well, what about USC? They did the same thing.
That's right.
They scored, what, 59 yesterday, and they dropped 2 spots.
If you're going to play Oklahoma, you better score 40 points. They talk about Oklahoma not being very good on defense. They're a pretty good defensive football team. But you better score 40 points if you're going to play those guys.
Knock it out of you.
Tell us about how OSU is good.
That's what I'm going to say. The team that's getting overlooked is Oklahoma State at number 9. You know, they only lost by 4 points to Texas. Now, I think this week we'll find out about them. They play at Texas Tech. That'll be a heck of a ball game.
They haven't beaten them since I was 7 years old out there.
Well, but hey,
they were Oklahoma A&M then. Oklahoma State's never beaten them at level.
Then they have a bye.
His lips as soon as he heard
then they
that
play
right there.
Oklahoma.
Let's take a look at the rest of the top 20, beginning at number 11. It is Ohio State, followed by TCU. Georgia drops from 6 to 13. Mizzou at number 14. BYU, LSU, Ball State, Michigan State, North Carolina, and the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. And, you know, you guys talked already about the big matchups this week. Texas Tech against Oklahoma State and Alabama against LSU. Tell me who you like in each one, beginning with you, TV.
You know, I already said it. I'm going with LSU in an upset of Alabama. I just believe because they're so angry and upset that Saban left them, I think they'll take care of them. You know what, Coach? And I think Texas Tech, I'm scared of the OSU team coming in there, but, boy, I think Texas Tech takes care of business.
Barry?
I really do. I think Alabama. I'm going to take Alabama down in Baton Rouge, but Texas Tech is a better football team than OSU than I gave them credit for. They're better on defense. We know they're good on offense, but they're better on defense. Gives them a chance against anybody.
I like Alabama. You can be as mad as you want that the guy left, but that anger is not going to be on the field. The players are going to play. Alabama's great, and I think Texas Tech.
Yeah, I agree with you. Alabama. Yeah, LSU's not good enough football team. I saw them play against Florida. They're not going to do it.
All right.
Georgia.
Thanks a lot, Barry. We'll
All right,
see you
thank
down the
you,
road.
guys.
All right, buddy. Let's get back to the NFL, though, before we go and bring in our